Hi, everybody. We are back. I'm here with Faith Watkins with Guild Mortgage, and I'm Tatiana with eXp Realty. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that's been coming up a lot, mostly because, as a lot of you know, the market is balancing out. We're seeing that houses are staying on the market a little bit longer. Not in some of the hot neighborhoods, but I think in general, we've got about 2+ months of inventory, which is a lot more than we've had this time in the year, looking back the last couple of years. So we're going to be talking about helping buyers buy and sell at the same time.
Yes, that is a very big topic.
Yes.
Lots of questions to answer, I'm sure.
Lots of questions, lots of moving parts. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, totally. I have a litany of notes here, so I'm going to try not to read them right off the page, but I'll start off with kind of depending on how you want to do the order of it, of buying and selling, if you want to buy first and then sell later, because that's an option, or, you know, the typical sell buy. So I'll kind of go over a couple different options, and then I'll take a break and then let you jump in on some of your stuff.
Right, and I was just going to add real quickly that really depending on where you want to buy, your mortgage professional is going to be like key in that decision, because if you want to buy in a super hot neighborhood where there are multiple offers still, then you might want to consider something like a bridge loan or some of the things that you're going to go into right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you. No, that was a good lead-in, because ultimately that's the big thing is contingent offer sometimes is going to keep the deal from going through, or you might not be able to win the deal. And so if you have the opportunity to buy before you sell, then a bridge loan is an opportunity. The bridge loans are capped at $100,000, and that's where you have to qualify for all loans involved, which is your new purchase loan, your current loan, and the bridge loan. So if your debt to income ratios are a little on the tighter end, that might be a harder thing to do, but it is an option for you. However, I have some alternatives to the bridge loan, and this is the part that I thought I could kind of add a little bit of great info for people who are unaware of how you can do this. So bridge loans are harder to come by, and so instead of doing that, there's a possibility of doing a first and a second, where you have a first loan that is like 80% loan to value of the sales price, and then the second loan, which is usually about 10%. We can vary anywhere in between there, but depending on what your cash flow is like, to move into that would be a great option. And then what you do is you pay off the second loan after your house sells, and then you're left with just that first loan. And then you can actually leave that second line open and use it any time if you want to do that as well. That's a really great way of moving forward and not having to go through it's kind of a complicated bridge loan process. And that's something that you can do all with one lender. That's a really great way to move forward. Or you can even do like just a first loan. And then after 6 months, you can actually make a really large payment once you get your net proceeds from the sale of your property to re-amortize. And that will actually bring your payment down. That one's a little bit more complicated, but it's a great way to kind of help save money, because with the second loan, you have a little higher interest, where if you only have just a first loan, the rate's going to be a little bit better. And that would be something, of course, that I can help navigate through. Question?
You might have to qualify, though, for both your current house payment and the new house payment, though.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So for some clients that may not be possible.
Totally.
Right? Or you might have to look at doing some other creative things.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're just like,
know.
It's as if we rehearsed this or something. Like we talked about this earlier, and you're like, this is what's going to be the next best thing.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, totally. And so with that, which is really great, is the co-signer option. And this is something that we have people do quite frequently. And it's a family member usually that does it, but sometimes a friend can. But anybody that is interested in being part of the process with you, or just helping you get through it. So a parent, a brother, or a sister, aunt, uncle, whoever would be willing to help you out with that. And or even a gift. That's also a possibility as well, is getting a gift from a family member. That would, I can't really say like the terms of how that would go down, but we can go into more detail over the phone on that one. But a gift is also an option there too. So the alternatives that you were talking about are two really good ways to maybe kind of circumnavigate the debt to income ratio situation.
Right.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah, and how about you? I've got a couple more pieces, but I don't want to hog the show. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that when I'm sitting down with clients who are thinking about making a move and trading up or sometimes trading down, and they have to sell their home to be able to do that. Really the first step is to talk about their existing home. I know that a lot of clients,
regardless of what order you go in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of clients get super excited about thinking about where they're going to go. But if they've already decided that they want to go through and be like in the contingent offer process without going through maybe a cosigner or doing a bridge loan, then we really need to focus on their existing home first and getting that prepped for market. And then our last session when we were live, we talked about using your tax refund to kind of spruce up the exterior of your house and some of the curb appeal. So I won't go into that right now, but
Yeah, see the last video for that.
You definitely want to work with your realtor in understanding what your current home's value is, at least getting a range of where it's going to sell, and you want to talk very closely about timing. And often, I will recommend that this is what I found has worked more smoothly for clients, is that if the client is working with the realtor on the buy and the sell, because that realtor is intimately aware of all of the timelines and all of the details. And I'm not going to say that it doesn't work if you use someone else to sell your home, but the realtor that's helping with the buy purchase needs to be in really close communication with the listing agent.
Totally. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah. So I just want to emphasize that you have to really start with the current home and get it ready for market, and then talk about timing, because in a contingent offer, if you're making your offer contingent, there's quite a bit of paperwork involved in that, then you're actually a bumpable buyer. And I think what a lot of buyers don't know or maybe understand is what that means. So when you're a bumpable buyer, that means that another buyer can come in and bump you out of that first position if you haven't been able to secure a buyer for your current home, or if you're not far along in the process enough to where you feel comfortable releasing that contingency. So what I mean by that is that I've helped a number of clients in contingent offers, but usually we're listed and we have a buyer, and that buyer is through the inspection period, and so we're really waiting for that last phase, which is the appraisal phase.
Yeah.
It's harder to go out and make an offer when you don't have a plan for listing your house.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it never works, because in real estate, you'd be surprised how many situations that you can kind of pull a bunny out of a hat. But I would say in some of the real hot neighborhoods of Portland, especially like St. John's and Kenton and Irvington and Alameda, those are still really poppin' neighborhoods. It's going to be more difficult to entice a seller to wait for you long enough that you get your house prepared and listed. So it just kind of goes back to having those conversations first with your clients and trying to set expectations about the sequence of everything.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. The sequence piece, I think, is really important too, is as you're going through that process, is ensuring that you have your pre-approval letter ready as well, because if you have listed your home and you know you want to make offers, once you get an offer, having that pre-approval letter ready up front so you know what you can qualify for on your new purchase too. I mean, it might seem kind of obvious, but sometimes it happens where people don't realize that that's an important step too into making that next offer.
Right. So you really have to have your ducks in a row, which includes getting your house basically ready to market, and then also making sure that you feel super comfortable about the loan option that you're going to go with, and that you have that pre-approval letter.
Move for the next one. Totally.
Yeah.
Cool. And so on that, actually, my next segment, pre-approval letters. And so in a situation where you're doing a sell by, instead of having to provide your assets, which can be a retirement account, savings checking, whatever you use for down payment, in this instance, you're actually using what's considered the net proceeds of your sell for the new down payment. And how that works is understanding from your realtor what those net proceeds are going to be or what the sell price is going to be, and then I can calculate those net proceeds based on realtor commission, what you owe on your balance, and whether you have a first or a second, because you also have to pay off the second as well, and then your closing costs, and understanding exactly what that number is to utilize on the new purchase going forward. And so then how a pre-approval is worked up is contingent on the sale of that home, and then of course keeping in consideration what those net proceeds are. So if you have other assets, checking, savings, retirement, that's always great. It helps support your file as you're going forward, but the ultimate cash is coming directly from the sale of that house. And so with that, then essentially you can use those proceeds for, like after close, you can obviously keep some if you want, but how we can do that is we have the title company from the current house wire those funds directly to the title company on the new house. And ultimately, you can close like the same day if you have the same title company, or you can close the next day. Yep. So if your current home sells and closes, you know, let's say like Thursday, the 25th, then we could close on your new home Friday, the 26th. So it's a really great seamless process by having the funds move from the title company. And that's always a question that people ask all the time. They're always nervous about how that piece works out. And then there's always like the option of a rent back too, which is possible, because some people are nervous about that moving time frame and making sure they can get from their old home to their new home if there is a back-to-back closing as well.
Yeah, and a rent back is a really good tool to use if you need a little bit of some wiggle room in terms of just being, you know, closing and at least getting your funds and then closing on your new home, but you need a little bit of time.
Totally. Yeah, and those can work, and that's obviously the best person to talk to on that, because the realtor is negotiating that for you. But you know, a couple days to a week to, I mean, the longest is 60 days. You know, it really depends on the situation. It have to be special at that point, but you would have to move in by 60 days. Like, but that's absolutely the longest that you could go. So something to consider on that one.
Yeah.
And that. Yeah. I put some thought into this. I took some notes. Totally. And then another thing that we kind of talked about earlier was like your debt to income ratios and qualifying, and whether you can do like maybe a first and a second at the same time. Another way to make that work too is by paying down some personal debts. And this is something that I've worked with on clients as well, who are wanting to do that sell by concurrently, but maybe not like close on their current home first. And how that can happen is possibly paying off some debts, and anything from, you know, whatever you have on your report, of course, car loans, student loans, credit cards, that sort of thing. And especially credit cards can help boost your credit score as well. So there are always a little bit other creative options besides like just the co-borrower and gift money too. So I forgot to mention that one last time. So sweet. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other things that you have? I've got a couple more pieces, but
gosh, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. I can jump right into mine then. Another one is obtaining a HELOC on your current home. So depending on how long we think that the timing might be that you would list and or sell, how some folks go about it is obtaining a HELOC. And that allows you to use that for down payment for your new home. Again, qualifying on all the ratios. But then that allows you to make that offer on the new home. You have the cash for it, and then it doesn't have to be contingent.
Yes.
But you have to have
a great idea.
Yeah. Which, yes.
And some markets.
Totally, yeah, totally. Yeah. But you have to have it started first. So it's not like you can like make the offer and then get your HELOC. If you want to get the HELOC first. So if you know that that's what your plan is, to keep from having a contingent offer. If you don't have the cash yet because you're planning to use the cash with your home, you get a HELOC on your current home, and you use that for your down payment funds, and then you move forward with that process, and then you don't have to worry about your house selling in a particular amount of time. And then once you have everything going forward on that, and you obtain the HELOC, you could list your home then after that if you want to, depending on how quickly you want to make that move. But that's a really great way of keeping from being contingent, even if you need the net proceeds from your current home.
Yeah. So can you, on that note, let's say, can you use the HELOC for some of your earnest money? For instance, like if you have kind of a larger sum of earnest money, like if you're doing a new construction project,
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, you could because it is secured. You would have to withdraw the funds. So this is where with the HELOC, a lot of people will obtain the HELOC, but they won't necessarily like pull the money out. And so for the earnest money, at that point, you would have to pull it out. So you would have to obtain whatever that number is. And so you just know that you're going to have to be making payments on that when you have it out. So that is the piece to consider there. But you can pull out in 2 chunks if you want to. So if you want to do the small amount, just the earnest money up front first, and then do the larger amount later, that way you're not making that full payment of the interest later. But yeah, that's a really great question.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thinking of all the things. And then, oh, I think I already covered this one already. It was the closing the same day if you had the same title company. So it's not something that comes up super often, but every now and then somebody is wondering if they can do like a back-to-back, like they're ready, they can just get everything moved. Then it ultimately would be the same title company to make it happen, because then they have the same bank account and it doesn't take an extra few hours for the wire to go through. So that's the biggest piece. But I think that's kind of all I have on my part.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Do you,
it was useful information.
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, so it's really helpful to start by talking with your loan officer first, and then talking with your realtor and start putting some steps in place. And then you just really have to kind of jump and go into it.
Oh, right, yeah. the nervous, risky part. But
yeah.
I've done it. I did this sell-by a long time ago, and I actually had some renters coming into our old home, because we actually didn't, well, I say we didn't sell, but we were renting our home, but we still had a 2-day window where we didn't have a place to live, and we actually put all of our stuff in storage. And then we stayed at a friend's house for a weekend. It was kind of like we had a staycation. We were homeless for like 2 days. And then we brought all of our goods to the house. So there's many different ways that you can make this stuff work. But yeah, there's pods out there. People do that sometimes too. Like they put their stuff in pods. I mean, there's all sorts of creative avenues to make it happen.
Right. And there's always, I mean, sometimes we didn't really talk about this, but I'll just go into it now, because there's always the option, if the risk, or if you're not seeing that they're in the neighborhood that you want to live in, there's really enough inventory to do a contingent offer. It's definitely going to require more moving, but you could find a rental. You could move yourself into a rental, and you could sign, you know, a 6-month lease, something that would, a period of time that would give you a good time, you know, a good chunk of time to go out and tour homes and make offers. You could sell your house, so at least you have all the sale proceeds just sitting in your bank account. And then, of course, you wouldn't be a contingent buyer at that point. But for some people, the thought of moving several times is more disruptive than just sort of jumping in and doing it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess it depends on your lifestyle and your propensity for risk and other factors to that too. Right. And family.
Family and pets, that can be a big factor.
Yep.
Yeah, finding a rental that will take kitties or doggies. So there's just, there's lots of options, but it's great to be able to sit down with 2 professionals and just hash out the flow and the timeline of everything.
The details. Totally. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Again, I'm Faith with Guild Mortgage, and this is Tatiana with EXP, and we really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Great. And we will see you again next month.
Yes, we will.